Good morning and welcome to this live YouTube stream here at Softcat, where today we're talking VMware Cloud on AWS. My name is Dean Gardner. I am the Chief Technologist for Cloud here at Softcat, and I'll be your host today. And I'm joined by Vern, Bolinius, Chief Architect or Cloud Architect from VMware.
I'll go with Chief.
Yeah.
Good morning.
The stream will be split into three sections. The first section will be a pre-recorded interview I carried out earlier this week with Tim Hearn, who is a director at VMware, and we discussed this subject. And then we'll come back into the live stream where myself and Vern will delve under the hood of what the technology is and what it means for organizations. And then we'll finish off with a Q&A session where you, the audience, can ask some questions and hopefully we can provide some answers. And so without further ado, we'll move on to the interview with Tim Hearn. I'm joined by Tim Hearn, Director of VMware Cloud on AWS Northern Europe today. Morning, Tim.
Morning, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for joining me today. So VMware Cloud appears to be a significant strategic direction for VMware, and specifically VMware Cloud and AWS. So my first question, what is VMware Cloud and AWS?
So VMware Cloud on AWS is a true hybrid cloud platform. It allows our customers to extend their on-premise data center into the cloud, into AWS's data centers, using the same software, the same tools, the same skill sets that they're used to using in their on-premise environment, but now running on Amazon's bare metal platform in their data centers. And they're able to extend applications and workloads to and from the on-premise environment into the cloud as they see fit. And AWS and VMware spent over a year engineering the platform to be robust and scalable. We've rolled it out in a number of data centers now. And the fantastic thing is, because you have the proximity of AWS's native services, you can integrate their services into the VMware environment as well.
Okay, yeah, so you've got EC2, maybe S3 buckets on the back end that are running in AWS for a subscription. Obviously through your on-premise VMware software, you can then obviously bridge all of that together and manage it seamlessly through the VMware Cloud.
Yes, the vast majority of our customers already have AWS accounts. They're already developing natively in the cloud with AWS, but there's also a huge amount of innovation continuing to go on within the VMware environment. And if you can bring those two environments together, the customer's able to innovate that much faster, be much more creative, to be able to integrate services from both sides that much faster and easier.
Okay, so my second question is, why is it strategically important for VMware to have this type of proposition?
Well, VMware's view of enterprise IT is that it's a hybrid world. So customers have an on-premises environment, but they also have multiple cloud environments. They're developing natively in the cloud. They're moving some workloads into the cloud from their on-premise environment, but they're continuing to innovate on-premises as well. And therefore, there's a multitude of different transformational activities going on within enterprise IT. And therefore, if you're able to marry the best of an on-premise world with the best of a public cloud world and integrate that seamlessly, give customer choice and allow them to innovate, that's got to be a good thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. So VMware Cloud and AWS have teamed up, and Amazon have their own public cloud platform. We're aware of that, we talked about that. But why do you think, in your opinion, it's important for AWS to have that strategic partnership back with VMware?
So AWS share our view that the enterprise IT world is a hybrid world. And therefore they are working very, very hard with their customers to be able to help them to innovate in a native world and do some fantastic work. But at the same time, it means that they can extend that capability into what would be an on-premises environment. So they share our view that if you're able to bring the corporate IT infrastructure from a VMware point of view into that public cloud world, having the proximity allows increased innovation and creativity. So it's a very good relationship, because we're leveraging the strengths of both organizations and being able to enhance the combined strength to deliver some incremental value to customers that they wouldn't be able to achieve or would find it difficult to achieve in any other way.
And so since the product launch in the UK, which was March, I believe,
yes,
are there any significant announcements that have been since then or are coming over the next few months that we should be aware of?
So we publish our roadmap online, so customers and partners can go and view that roadmap. We're pretty open with that. If you look at where we've come from over the last 12 months, we launched 2 data centers in the US last year. We've launched 2 data centers in Europe this year. So London in March, as you said, Frankfurt about 3 weeks ago. We're going to launch some data centers in Asia Pacific region over the next few months. And when we launch those data centers, we launch a new major set of features and functionality.
Right,
and so you'll see where we're planning to do that on that roadmap. So when we launched Frankfurt, we launched a new set of services. Those services are instantly available across all data centers. When we launch our next data center in the Asia Pacific region, there'll be another set of features that we'll make available. So an example of something coming up is our ability to be able to extend our vSAN storage capability into native AWS using the Elastic Block storage capability. So if you've got a customer who's got a large amount of storage, it just means that you can integrate both native AWS services with VMware services. And that's something that you would find quite difficult to achieve with an on-prem into native cloud environment. Having that proximity just makes
it's close together,
that integration so much better.
Yeah, and I suppose the stack that sits in AWS of VMware, it's vSphere, NSX, vSAN.
Correct.
So leveraging those technologies and vSAN, as you say, to sort of extend out and bring those AWS services in makes sense.
And that's one of the nice things for a VMware customer when they buy into VMware Cloud on AWS, they get the latest and greatest of everything. So they get the latest vSphere, they get the latest NSX, they get the latest vSAN, and then it's our responsibility to keep everything up to date and patched, etc., etc. So for some customers that want to be able to upgrade from where they are now onto on-prem, this is actually a smart way to be able to do that. Okay, so
and the other thing I wanted to ask you is around the entry point in the nodes, because it's a 4-node entry cluster at the moment. Is there any plans to kind of sort of lower that bar?
Yeah, we've started that already. So we launched the 1 node recently. And the 1 node is aimed at a pilot environment or a DevOps sprint environment. So it's a 30-day life, and so therefore you can do some work on it. After 30 days it expires. You can upgrade that then into on-demand if you want to be able to do that. So you have an ability to start very, very small and then grow up. And we've also introduced credit card payments recently. So that went multi-currency this week as well. So just being able to start really, really small, you can do that. And then move, but it's more cost effective then to move into on-demand and prepaid over time. But as a quick way to be able to get on board and to be able to do some work, then that's probably the quickest way to do it.
Okay, and so why is the partner network and working with companies like Softcat so important for VMware, and specifically around VMware Cloud and AWS?
So VMware's model in Europe for VMware Cloud on AWS is an indirect model. That means we rely very heavily on our partners in the sales process, but we also rely on our partners very heavily to be able to help our customers to start consuming the service. It's obviously important to be able to help our customers to start to consume the service and to be able to start to get workloads operational as quickly as possible. We rely very heavily on our partners to be a help to do that. So obviously Softcat have invested heavily in skills around this area, and we're going to be very reliant on Softcat to be able to work with us in the future to be able to help our customers to consume service, get the maximum benefit and capability out of the platform that we're providing.
That's all my questions today, Tim. So I wanted to thank you for joining me and answering some of those things, and we'll see you soon.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So welcome back. That was myself and Tim talking earlier this week. So just as a recap, we talked a bit about the technology, the business benefits, why a partner like Softcat are working with VMware on this stuff, and why AWS are doing it as well. And so we're going to delve straight into some of the challenges and what we're seeing. And obviously, Vern, I just want to get your opinion on those challenges and talk through some of those if possible.
Absolutely. And I think it's important first to address the why, and that's what the challenges really are about. And so if we take a step back and we look at the discussions that we had with CTOs or CIOs, call it 18 months ago, many of them were going full bore. We're going to have everything on cloud, 90% on cloud in the next 18 months. But you have those same conversations now, and you found that those same CIOs or CTOs have backed off a little bit. Maybe only 30% are on cloud, 30% of the workloads or less, because it's not straightforward. There are challenges that have prevented that. And these are the challenges that the VMware Cloud on AWS solution has aimed to solve. So starting with operational consistency, doing things the same way on premise as you would in the cloud, because if you have two different models, that's not good for anybody. Things fall through the cracks. Existing skill sets and tool sets is another big one. There are estimated 100 million plus workloads of vSphere running out there in the wild, which means that customers, corporations have invested not just in VMware technology, but also in the people and the tools to operationalize that. And wouldn't it be great if you could move smoothly from your on-prem into your cloud environment without having to throw that away, without having to lose that?
Yeah.
From a control perspective, a security perspective, clearly you need to be as secure in the cloud as you are on premise. Same with your SLAs, your service level agreements. With your internal customers or your external customers, you need to be able to provide the same or better moving to cloud. But really, it's the last one, the compatibility with apps, that has been the biggest hurdle in moving directly to native cloud. To refactor an application, to take it apart from where it's been working comfortably and well on a vSphere environment, break it apart, refactor it, recreate it in a public cloud natively, that is a very large challenge. And I've conducted a number of workshops where customers have come and said, Vern, you're bang on. We've tried this. We've been trying to do this for 6 months, and we've now doubled our budget. We're no end in sight. We need a smoother way to start taking advantage of cloud.
Yeah, and I think they're important points, and you're right, VMware and vSphere specifically has been around for a long time. People went from physical to virtual over a period of time, 10 years, and some people are still doing it. And so going from that platform and doing that and then jumping into public cloud is another transition that people are now doing. And so doing it in a phased approach. And having this technology in public cloud surely should help that strategy.
Well, public cloud, I mean, people are going to public cloud for the things that public cloud are known for. You want the flexibility, you want the agility, you want to reduce your time to market. It promises all of that if done correctly.
Yeah, one of the bits that I picked up there was SLA. So the VMware Cloud on AWS platform is a fully managed service. It's 24/7, 365. And at that point, that's the VMware, the vSphere, and the stack essentially with the infrastructure. It's all managed, which frees up that operational team then to kind of start focusing on some of the applications.
Strategic things.
Yeah, and so I think that's something that's important to emphasize, is that you're kind of shifting some of that operational headache, if you will.
And it's important to remember that it's a service. Customers don't want to have to go through the infrastructure refresh themselves. They don't want to have to patch. They don't want to have to upgrade. All of that is taken care of as part of the service.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move under the hood a little bit about what it looks like, what the technology is from a stack point of view, and really go into what you get for this service.
Sure. So let's start at the piece in the middle there. So that's the crux of it. So what you're seeing is hyper-converged infrastructure. So the combination of vSphere for compute, NSX for networking, and vSAN for storage as hyper-converged infrastructure. So we say that's based off the VMware Cloud Foundation. So those same three components could be running on-premise, and there's some synergy between the two of them.
Yeah.
So that sits on bare metal infrastructure, bare metal Amazon global infrastructure, which is what you see on the bottom there. But then we take that and we tie it into on-premise. So on the left is the link that connects the on-premise, the customer's data center, into VMware Cloud on AWS. So that link allows for movement of workloads, either live or by bulk migration or cold migration. It allows a hybrid link mode where you can see both sides of the fence by logging onto one side or the other. So you have complete transparency for management. And then on the right-hand side, you notice the link down in the bottom right. So that's a high-speed, low-latency link that allows the workloads in VMware Cloud on AWS to connect directly to native Amazon services. So you might have a database that's part of your application that has been stood up in native AWS, and you want to leverage that using the workloads that you have in your SDDC on VMC, on VMware Cloud. And so that link allows for that smoothly, and there's no data charges for moving data back and forth across that link into native Amazon.
Yeah, and so just on that diagram, so what we've got is two virtual center servers. One is the one that runs on premise that most organizations will have sitting in front of their vSphere platform. And that link mode allows you to take the virtual center server that's running on top of the stack that's in the AWS platform, and through a single pane of glass, you get to see both, you get to manage both in terms of moving workloads and having that single visibility of your estate.
Exactly right. And customers have actually said they like the fact that it's just the same client. It's the HTML5 client that looks and feels exactly the same, whether you're working with something on cloud or whether you're working with something on-premise.
And I think it's important to highlight that, as I understand it, and you can correct me, you don't need to have vSphere, vSAN, NSX running on-premise in its entirety for this to work. This is something that works.
Well, you need to have vSphere running on-premise.
Well, of course, sorry, and a version of,
Yes.
But yeah, you need to have some of the stack. But you could go and consume this as a service without having those things. But
it is a possibility. It's rare, but it's a possibility.
Yeah, but most organizations, they have that one of the components, vSphere.
You don't need to have the full stack, correct.
And obviously what we're seeing is obviously organizations may have already gone to Amazon Web Services, gone cloud native through a development team, and to build that bridge from an enterprise IT on-premise into those platforms is kind of critical really to get that visibility and control.
It's a differentiator for the solution, absolutely.
Okay, so let's move into some of the use cases that we're seeing and sort of explain some of what organizations are talking to you about and certainly what they're talking to us about.
Sure, okay, we'll move from left to right. So the data center extension is one of the prime use cases. So in this scenario, it's the typical cloud burst scenario where the customer's current data center perhaps doesn't have enough capacity and they would like to move workload off of their data center, but they're keeping their data center, they're not shutting their data center down. Maybe they're doing test and dev on VMC, they need more capacity. It's a perfect solution for that. So what I personally am seeing more of is the second scenario there, the cloud migrations or data center consolidation, where a customer is going to shut down their data center. From a cost perspective, they are not going to renew their contract. They're moving specific applications. They'd like to avoid a hardware refresh. And they're looking for a means of taking those 100, 200, 1,000 applications and moving them in a very timely manner over to cloud, over to take advantage of the elasticity that cloud can offer. And this really is a sweet spot for that type of workload migration. And the third one, disaster recovery, that can be viewed as an extension of the first use case. But here we have DR as a service. And the nice thing in this scenario is for customers that are familiar with our Site Recovery Manager solution and have been running it on-premise for years, they can now use the cloud, so VMware Cloud on AWS, as a target, because really it is just vSphere under the covers. Replicate the virtual machine, set your protection plans, your recovery plans, and stand them up on a brand new reliable infrastructure.
And I suppose that comes back to the original points you were making about that skill set, the operational elements that you have in place already. They can obviously transfer across to this platform. Yeah. One of the use cases we've seen and been asked about is Horizon desktops and being able to spin up desktops into this platform. 1,000 desktops or 100 desktops, but you can do how many you want. But in a way, using Horizon to be able to use this as a target, is that something that you're seeing customers ask about?
Absolutely. So as of this release, we're in release 4 now, the VMware Cloud and AWS solution, and each release brings with it a rich new set of features. So we're improving as we move on, both geographically and with the solution itself. And as of version 4, Horizon 7 desktops can now be run on VMware Cloud on AWS, and we see that as a very, very positive and growing use case. So absolutely.
Yeah, so the VDI piece. So that gives us a sort of a summary of some of the use cases that we're seeing. I think we'll move into the next stage, which is the questions, Q&A. And I think we've got a few of those coming in at the moment. Let's just have a quick look. So one of the questions we've been asked is how quickly can VMware Cloud and AWS, how quickly can the environment be created?
So it's a very good question. We get that a lot. And the answer is great. We can spin up either a 1 node as a 30-day, we can talk about that, but the typical 4-node cluster can be spun up in between 90 minutes and 2 hours. And that's a full-blown 4-node cluster, SDDC, ready to receive workloads. And when you consider that in a typical environment, at a customer environment, and I'm sure you've seen this, it can take days, weeks, or even months to get those servers ordered, to get them procured, provisioned, racked, stacked, cabled up, security rules put in place. And so when you compare that to having a fully blown, ready-to-go data center in 2 hours, that's pretty attractive.
And just for the audience, because I should have highlighted this, there is a way you can ask questions. There's a comments box and an email address at the bottom of the screen, a comments box on the bottom right-hand side. So if you want to ask some questions live and active, then please send them through now.
Please do.
And it's one of the questions we get asked before is how can I move workloads to VMware Cloud and AWS? We kind of touched upon that a bit earlier.
So there are a number of ways to do it. We've actually baked into the solution a connecting solution called Hybrid Cloud Extension, or HCX, which allows migration of workloads from on-prem to cloud or back, either through bulk migration, so where you can replicate the majority of the virtual machine live across, but then when you're ready, shut it off on-premise, turn it on the cloud, either directly or through a schedule. You can do live vMotion from on-prem to the cloud, and you can do cold migration.
Yeah.
And of course, this is key, planning that out and how that works, because otherwise it's just stuff sitting there waiting to be used. So yes, a key element.
And one of the questions, and it's one we get asked regularly, is how much does this solution or service cost?
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a loaded question because there are variables.
There are variables, but it's a great question. So first of all, we publish our pricing directly on our website along with our roadmap. And it comes in different flavors. So there's on-demand, there's 12-month subscription, 36-month subscription, and the price goes down as you move to a greater period of time. So a 36-month subscription costs about half of what you would be doing on-demand, hourly on-demand.
So that's a commit upfront, if you like, for a 3-year period.
Correct.
Very much similar to how organizations use kind of CapEx today, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we made the process very easy. Once credits are purchased, so Softcat will sell credits.
Yeah.
The customer buys the credits, and the back end it gets set up, and they get invited to start up their organization and their software-defined data center, and then 2 hours later, they're set to go.
And also there's some hybrid loyalty discounts if you've invested in technology on-premise where it's vSphere, NSX, and vSAN. If you do have that stack, there's some benefits obviously that help with the cost.
In each of those cases, it's 10% for each of those products to a maximum of 25%. So we recognize and reward the loyalty that customers have shown us.
Yeah, and certainly if organizations are interested in going through that and working out what the cost is for them and if it's relevant, and obviously you can talk to Softcat and we can help you define what that looks like. Another question that has come in, are the hosts really bare metal physical servers, or are they just providing some clever nested hypervisor technology? So for the audience, if you don't know what a nested hypervisor is, it's essentially a vSphere with a hypervisor on bare metal, and then you can virtualize your hypervisor. So
like a double hypervisor.
Yeah, basically. And I'm not actually sure if it's supported, so I don't think it's
officially
supported.
This is actually on bare metal. They're the Amazon i3 instances, and it is vSphere, so native vSphere installed truly on bare metal, managed as part of the AWS infrastructure.
Yeah, and it's the i series, I think.
i3.
Yeah, i3. Yeah, and obviously there's a whole range of those from Amazon that you could look at, and this is one flavor of that at the moment.
Correct. This is the flavor that we're currently working with for the VMware Cloud and AWS solution.
Yeah. And one thing as well, we sort of touched upon the stack before, but a question that someone's asked is, can I use my existing AWS Direct Connect networking service? And I think that's important. The connection obviously can be VPN across the platform, but obviously if you've got a dedicated network, AWS network, using Direct Connect, you can then obviously leverage that to kind of connect the two together.
And we have customers that do that. It's a great way of using the existing technology. So if you have your Direct Connect, it's just a matter of creating another virtual interface or a VIF, and then taking that VIF and accepting it within VMware Cloud and AWS, and then using that for the data path.
Yeah, and I think that's important because obviously a lot of organizations we talk to, they're using Amazon Web Services today, and they've invested in that. So leveraging that, as well as leveraging some of the potential on-premise investments that you have with the VMware, it's just building those bridges, isn't it?
Well, remember, this is a truly jointly engineered solution. As you were referring to, you and Tim, in the previous video, we worked with this. We worked on Amazon with this in lockstep. And Amazon is not only fully supported, but absolutely goes to the table with us at customer meetings as well. So
yeah, so it's a joint proposition.
Very much so.
And so yeah, just if you want to ask any more questions, just a reminder, there's again the email address at the bottom, and we've got a box on the right hand side, a comments box, so please throw some comments in. We've got another question that's just come in. So what happens to the workloads if I leave them running on the single node proof of concept for 30 days?
The single node, the 30-day, it is really a proof of concept. So it was designed to lower the price point for customers to be able to trial VMware Cloud on AWS. And it does have a 30-day expiration. So if you do have a workload on that at the end of 30 days, and we don't want to be putting production workloads on that, you have the option before the expiration period of a one-button uplift to a fully blown 4-node cluster, in which case your workload survives and remains.
Yeah.
And hopefully that'll be the case, right? Otherwise, the workload will go away.
Yeah, so that's important. So obviously, if you're using it to test, it plugs in as a live service, 30 days, time bomb. Yeah,
Again, the technical term,
yeah,
the time bomb.
Yeah, the time bomb's a good term. So that's one thing we should probably put in 30 days and it explodes. But that's important because obviously, if you're putting production workloads on there, you want to be mindful of the fact that after 30 days they're going.
They're going away.
But the key thing is you can migrate them back. So
that's correct.
Yeah. So I think that kind of covers the questions we've got coming in. And if there's no more questions, we'll wrap it up for now. But if you're interested in talking to Softcat about VMware Cloud and AWS, you can contact us via your account manager or an account manager or via the website. And we run hybrid cloud workshops. We run cloud workshops with organizations to define where this works or where it could work, as well as obviously talking about other cloud platforms as well. Because, let's face it, there are options. And so you can talk to us about that, and we're happy to engage with you. But just want to say thanks for joining us today, and thanks, Vern.
Thank you very much.
And hopefully we'll see you again soon.